Good evening, everybody.
Greetings.
I believe we've resolved our technical issues, at least for now. So, since we're running a little bit late, I guess without further ado, we shall crack on. So, of course, as is the usual, we'll start with a refresh of what happened last time. If somebody wants to step up and all eyes
I'm gonna
turn.
have to open my. I'm gonna have to open my professionally typed notes here.
There we go.
Yeah, I forgot we had professionally typed notes.
Let's have a look. So we got Michael Compton's address from Detective Hardcastle. We found out Compton was a playboy. Lived.
Oh, I just remembered what happened.
Yeah, there were no sort of. There were some sort of goings on with him, but he'd never been found out. We turned up. The slug disappeared in acid. Well, acetic acid vinegar. It didn't like heat. It got angry at that. So we found that out. Brilliant Chan rocked up at Michael Compton's house as we turned up there, and we were sort of willingly kidnapped by Chan to go to his opium den
at least.
Yeah, well, his lackeys anyway. His lackey turned up, his driver, Mr. Thompson, I think it was.
The lackeys are an extension of Chan, so it's like Chan turning up themselves.
Chan was looking for her nephew, Jack. Nephew, but not Jack Cade. That was a name that. Yeah, Jackie Chan. Yeah, bit of casual racism thrown in there. So we had. He'd been taken. They'd not heard from nephew since yesterday. Chan believed Compton was responsible for it, and they just had the name of Jack Cade that they mentioned. We then found out about the Jack Cade Caverns, which were an old system of plague pits somewhere in London. And then we found out they were in Blackheath, potentially under O'Neill, Michael Compton's house. And we had reference to Eltham Palace, an old 16th century cottage that was on the edge of Blackheath that was claimed to have a bricked up secret entrance to these Jack Cade caverns. It was hinted at being the entrance to the caverns. We went down into them, had a look. Mr. Thompson come with us. Who was the chauffeur of Chang. We heard some chanting as we went in because Mr. Thompson had been hanging around doing nothing upstairs with his gun. Went down into the caverns and nothing happened, and then we all went home and had tea.
That is exactly how I remember it.
Yeah,
I remember you two getting a bit excited.
Yeah, we were like two schoolgirls because it was dark, so there was some tittering.
That's what it was. I was just wondering.
He's
got a wee bit like hyperventilated a bit. And I was like, wondering that.
Yeah, it was just a bit of claustrophobia.
Just little. We turned into like schoolboys. So
but then everything was fine.
And then you decided that get a grip. You were the doctor, and we were like, "All right, yeah, let's go home because there's nothing else to see here."
Well, we went to the fish and chip shop, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was important.
We all had fish and chips.
Yeah, plenty of vinegar.
Plenty of vinegar. Lashings of salt, and we felt good. We did see Michael Compton in the caves, and we waved at him, and he waved back.
Yeah, that was and all was fine. And didn't what's his face find his wee nephew?
Yeah, his nephew.
Yeah, so that was solved. Do you know what I mean? He found his nephew. We let him down there. He found his nephew, so all was good.
His nephew was just sleeping on a stone tablet.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That were all normal. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Nobody's head got cut off. Nobody had tentacles coming out of all their orifices.
Nobody exploded.
Nobody exploded. Nothing like that. So it was quite a
No,
quiet.
no, no.
Really, we went.
That
down into a
would
cabin.
upset you if you saw that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it'd have put me right off my fish and chips.
No, it was all absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And
And then there was no
We're
fire.
terrible investigators. We never find anything. You know, we're just
No. We
Very
found chip
bored.
shop.
yeah. That was important.
So yeah.
And in the alternative version of events,
Wibble.
There was some, there was some shithousery going off downstairs with brilliant Chan's nephew getting his throat sliced. There's some sort of crazy ritual with some other friends of Michael Compton's.
Norman's running boomerang on us already. Shut up.
Tentacles come out of the face and bits and pieces, and we all went a little bit mental. And
it was a mad
And then we went
scramble to
up.
the stairs.
yeah, mad scramble for the stairs and done.
Because you all ran away and
That
set fire
way.
to the building.
Yeah.
Some of us strategically withdrew. You know, with our faculties intact. Just putting that out
Well,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
For once, because the dice rolls went right.
Yeah.
The only time in 3 sessions.
Yeah. It went horribly tits up.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, Compton wasn't exactly a pleasant shop, was he?
Not really.
No.
So yeah, so one way or another, that situation kind of was resolved, wasn't it? I mean, the building burnt down. The police arrived.
With a lot
on
of
the
concrete, I
6th.
believe.
Sorry.
With a lot of concrete, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Smoothed over with a hell of a lot of concrete.
Dig, dig, dig.
Yeah. So the fire brigade, the fire was put out. The police arrived, and then it ultimately resulted in the building being demolished and the caves being capped off with a lot of concrete. So I think we left it to you to decide what the outcome of all that was. So obviously, Mrs. Chang's nephew didn't survive. You didn't. There was
That was
all the-
John's fault.
We got there a little bit late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We,
It was kind of a decide whose side we want to be on, and we took the fifth.
Yeah, I think you decided. So there was you were confronted with various options. Weren't you? You were like siding with Chang, siding with the contact the Home Office that was looking to.
Oh, we didn't do that. That was
Oh,
like,
yeah, we went siding with them. Yeah.
That was like, nah.
Yeah. So I think you kind of walked went down the middle of the road, didn't you? And didn't really.
Didn't really help anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
We helped ourselves.
Yes. After a fashion.
Charity begins at home, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
After a fashion, you did, didn't you? Ooh, Dave, you're off to. I'm not sure what it is. Can see you there, but it's not you. You're off to one side a little bit.
Oh,
There
sorry.
we go. There we go.
So, what's the main consensus on who we're going to join?
Nobody, because it was joining anybody was just bad news. So if we joined, Chan was going to be still around, and if we double crossed her, we were
She'll cut
knackered.
us off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't want to throw in our lot completely with her, but we also didn't want to throw in our lot, with her or against her. So we kind of we didn't make anybody happy, but we also didn't massively piss anybody off. Was what we went for in the end.
Yeah. We
don't-
tried. We did what we were asked. We tried. That's-
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't upset anybody completely, but no, we didn't really make anybody happy either. So no score draw.
Yeah, so you weren't particularly successful, but at least you got away kind of without anybody like
Actively
gunning for.
hunting us.
Yeah, nobody's actually gunning for you. Maybe you maybe not made some great impressions on some potentially
Yeah, we're not
influential
flavour of the
people.
month, but yeah.
Nah, we can live with that.
So,
Yeah,
it-
my characters used that.
I think it was the least bad option.
quite possibly the least complicated one. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Had the least complications.
yeah.
And I guess if you remember, we kind of drew the curtains on that whole affair.
And I also lost a ridiculous amount of sanity.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So yeah, you've so there's been an interim of about a month or so. So you'll have recovered, apart from losing the actual sanity, you'll have recovered your wits
Oh,
by now.
but not
We
my
shall
sanity.
No, you're not. No, you're still sanity's low, but you're not actually suffering from the effects. You're not insane. You're not suffering from indefinite insanity or anything like that. We shall say you've recovered your wits of such. But of course, Gerald, you did see a re-emergence of the nightmares that you'd suffered last year. That for the last 6 months or more, you've been clear of.
Wet in
You've
the
not-
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we remind everybody of the last dream that you had? Maybe we shall open. So, well, a case in point is how much of the events prior to this missing persons investigation, how much of the events that culminate in Scotland have you revealed to Norman and Charles? Oh, and George. This comes to that. I keep thinking George is a survivor. He's definitely
No, it's not.
He's not.
As little as possible, to be honest with you. So
Charles
we had
declined
a-
Charles's offer, of therapy. for
we
some reason.
we had a run-in with a bunch of what can only be described as cultists of they thought of themselves as cultists. You remember that whole signs popping up about what's his face? What was he called? That people kept writing on walls.
The King in Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, the King in Yellow and Kaiwan. They thought that they believed in black magic and some sort of otherworldly beings and what have you. They killed my friends, but I'm not going to make it out to be any more supernatural than I can possibly help.
Okay.
Because otherwise, Highsmith will put me away.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Mr. Dr. Highsmith has, to a certain extent, is become a bit, well, probably certainly after recent events, has probably become a little bit more open-minded.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, after the events of last week, I will open up a bit more about that's kind of the same sort of thing that happened up in Scotland. Until then, I think I'll have played my cards quite close to my chest.
Okay.
Now that, obviously, the two that were with us anyway have seen that, I'll let them know that that wasn't my first rodeo.
I reflect back on my dealings with Robert that the fact that just so convincing. While in therapy, these cultists can lead double lives and just be completely unflinching and give no hint of their mania. It's actually quite frightening to think about.
But at least some of it is, I think, real. We did just see what we just saw with, goo coming out of people and
I'm still not 100% convinced what that was. My brain didn't quite register it.
do you remember? Sit down on this like weird couchy thing.
Is that not normally my line?
Tell me about your mother.
We've seen your.
Well, she didn't have
doctoring
tentacles.
skills. Yeah.
So, yeah, if you remember, people like kind of exploding, for want of a better word.
Absolutely. Like I said, I remember I saw everything, but for some reason, there's a part of my brain just shut off. Maybe it was all that time listening while I was carrying out my assessments, the similar things that, I don't know, just coming actually to reality and that people would seek this thing out. I just find astounding, absolutely amazing that, like I couldn't get up those stairs quick enough, but there's people that seek these things out, and part of my brain is just like, why? I must delve into this further.
Yeah, you see, I'm not sure. Certainly, the main guy seemed to be.
He reminded me of Robert. He was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was kind of inviting it. I'm not sure about the other four, whether they realised until right at the end what they'd let
I
themselves
wonder
in
if
for.
narcotics were involved because they were not. They were not here. They were not present in the moment. They were somewhere else. And the only time I've seen that is either someone who's used barbiturates a lot, or just you hear about it in tribes where they're like in euphoric states. Like Native American shamans when they go in there. I've only read about this. Obviously, this is just a bit of when I started my sessions with Robert. Looked into what he was about. I tried to find some comparisons, and honestly, that's the only state I can think. Either someone that's been given a substance, or they've got themselves in that much of a mania, either through chanting or breathing, where oxygen's actually left the brain, that they're in a euphoric state that reality leaves them. I think that's why I maybe reacted differently when I was looking at it, because the whole setup is just, it's fascinating. There's a strange, they actually see people in that state and they willingly hand themselves over. And
See, fascinating isn't the word that was springing to my mind.
well, it's maybe just from a different, when you view things through a different lens, you have to understand before you can heal. That's the purpose of any doctor.
I've actually been considering something with the recent events. Maybe we should carry fragile glass bottles of vinegar on our person.
Probably not a terrible idea.
No, it's...
I mean, like, with that parasite we encountered earlier, maybe the abomination we saw in the caves might be a cousin.
There's every chance it could be the same thing. I'm not a biologist, but
It looked like a bigger version of the same thing. Sure. Although I think that would have taken quite a lot of vinegar.
Yeah.
Greg has disturbed me actually more than anything.
I mean, do you see who you're talking with? I could carry gallons of vinegar even.
Well, that'll be a bit much. Plus, what if we meet something that actually likes it?
Yeah.
Some really big fish.
Just turn it into a crystal statue and just shatter it with my axe.
Hmm.
So,
I wonder why Greg. That's something I've been pondering over. I wonder why Greg, knowing that he had a unique sample never encountered before, went through with such fervor all those tests. That was very odd. When you've, I can understand if he had 4 or 5 samples, but the waste that one like that, it just seemed a bit. That's something I've been pondering over while we've been looking into this.
Yeah. Or whether he was just inept.
quite possibly that.
Hmm.
Never, what is it? Never ascribe to malice what you can ascribe to incompetence.
Yes.
No, that's a fair point. Just that's the basics of scientific investigation, especially if you've got limited samples. So you be careful with the tests.
Mm.
Seem to be getting more cases of this mania. The last couple of weeks I was called into the courtrooms again to do just a couple of freelance consultancies. I guess what drew me into this in the first place. Do you think there's a connection that this is all tied together somehow?
Well,
These...
last time round, things did seem to like gradually escalate, and towards the end, we'd been told that we were on quite a tight time scale before everything went really, really badly wrong.
this could be a resurgence again.
So I am worried that this seems to be heading the same direction. And the fact that I'm having these dreams again.
Oh, I didn't realize you were having dreams.
I shouldn't have said that.
Is this something? Is this something recent or always part of your life?
Well, no. They started just before the unpleasantness of, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
And my erstwhile colleagues had similar dreams as well. Especially Charles was particularly prone to them. And they were gradually getting worse as things built towards the end. And I've been free of them since the events of Scotland, but they seem to have started again, which, with all of this going on, worries me that, we're in what I could maybe, to coin a phrase, part 2.
And was there an event you were hypnotic suggestion can be a powerful thing if you're in the same experience together. Was there an event or something you attended where there was potential for words to be spoken in a particular fashion? Do you remember?
Well, there were. It all seemed to revolve around this King in Yellow.
I'm taking notes, obviously, as this is.
Don't be writing that down.
I suppose, Charles, Dr. Highsmith, you can make a psychology roll again.
Oh dear.
You must not read from the book.
We got all read from the book. Knowledge is power.
No, do not read from the book. Never read from the book. This is
never read from the book. Bound in
This
human
is-
flesh and written in blood. That's the
This-
basic rules.
this is
Come
Call
on.
of Cthulhu 101. Is do not read from the book. Definitely don't learn any spells.
Excuse me. Okay, so
Yeah.
so listening to Gerald, it occurs to you that that he seems to be suffering from the same or similar diagnosis that you gave Alexander Roby, and that you wrote your paper on.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of seasonal. I forget what you actually what you called it. Let's see, what did you call it?
Was not an alienist for the courts, was not.
That's a handout. That's why I can't see that. Do you want handouts?
Yeah, I was saying Robert because he can't call himself Rob. You know, he's.
Yeah. His second name it's Roby. Was Roby. Let's have a look here. Can't remember what you called your paper in the end.
I could tell everything that many, you know, just it's one amongst plethora stack of. Most of them ended up among the penny dreadfuls for some reason. Can't imagine why.
So yes, there we are. So your Dr. Highsmith's paper was a sympathetic mania, a case study in repetitive and predictive reoccurrence. So
Obviously, I've had time to reevaluate that because my initial diagnosis and the events afterwards, sympathetic wouldn't be the word.
So I suppose it's kind of a precursor to what would be what people would call seasonal adjustment disorder.
All right.
Something along them lines. Something similar. So Dr. Highsmith noticed.
But these are not weather seasons.
Not weather, no, the time of the year. So he associated it to the time of the year. So it tended to be with certainly in Alexander's case, it it began around sort of October time and ran into March. So the sort of autumn to the beginning of spring.
Mm-hmm. Now, under normal circumstances, I don't want to make comparisons. So obviously, these are thoughts I'll keep to myself. Obviously, because I don't want to make comparisons in front of Gerald and have him thinking that he's going down the same road. Especially as I jumped to conclusions last time and what befell. I've obviously had a year to reflect since that time and I wonder if these. It's a tricky one because there's something not human involved in this. I think we need a biologist, or we need to consult a biologist and find out what these creatures are and how they're evolved. Because if it was a human mania, that would understand. But I'm wondering because I was thinking along the lines of Manchurian Candidates, the go to an event and through the use of opiates or drugs and hypnotic suggestion could be primed. Because obviously, since the events, I've looked into the sort of cult mindset and how people are brought in, and obviously, this is quite a new phenomenon in this age. There's been ancient cults before, but coming into the modern world, the 20th century, is a bit strange. So obviously, different techniques, but definitely among tribes people. There's one like that who used stonefish, which were venomous, but distilled in a certain way and adding a ritual made it like a euphoric drug. I'm wondering if these slugs were used in the same way, but maybe they didn't fully understand them. And maybe that's what set things off. And My main question is: are the events up in Inverness and what we just witnessed last week a very, very strange coincidence? Are they linked to the same cult, or is this seasonal disorder that I've looked at manifesting this into people? These are the questions I kind of have, where I haven't reached a hypothesis yet.
Okay. So, well,
So, can I ask the group whether, without disturbing any bad memories, stop if you don't feel comfortable. But did you notice any similarities now? There's been a bit of time between those
What
events
between the one that we encountered and then the one from
and the one in
Scotland?
Inverness.
No, I would say no.
No, not really.
George won't know that, but I would say no. That there's no similarities at all.
Yeah, certainly nothing obvious.
No.
Right. So I wonder what's driving people to this extreme.
Bit of a laugh, isn't it?
Oh,
Just larking about.
Yeah.
I felt the joviality in the caves. Like,
It's
you know,
just
good
for
time
the
was had by
crack.
all.
I mean, they certainly seem to enjoy it.
Young Chan didn't.
I wasn't mad keen.
I don't think John enjoyed it. He got kind of upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
so anyway, shall we move this forward a bit?
Yep,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
That was just a
No. If you unless you want to
contemplation.
yeah.
No. It was just a contemplation to see if there's any plot threads to maybe tie together.
Something to bear in mind, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, relating back to the incidents in Scotland, although the issue, obviously, this is it relates more to Gerald, but the issue with I forgot his name. Just have to quick his name. 1 second. With Edwards, with Montague Edwards and his cults, it was appeared to be resolved. They all appear to have either died or disappeared, and there was no.
Everything was fine.
Yes, in the months that followed, there was no no sign of them resurfaced, and as spring came around, the dreams, nightmares that Gerald was suffering from, they faded and left a sense of relief, but also this almost sense of anticipation. And then of
Don't think
course,
so.
and then of course, all that was forgotten with events of the past few weeks. All that was kind of forgotten. Until just recently, just the last week when, like, the first of these nightmares returns and just hits Gerald just like a juggernaut. It's like just this sudden impact, mental impact of these returning these dreams. So like I said, I think we'll have a refresher of what that actual dream was, because probably people don't remember.
Yeah.
Let's see if I believe it was. Get the right ones. Yes, it was. If So yeah, the dream you had, whether you how much of this you relate to the others or not, is up to you. But yeah. So during the dream, you were hunting up on the scrub, gorse, heather, and granite spread out to the horizon. You remember the story of a man lost on these moors. As the sun fell and he resigned himself to sleeping out in the cold, he came across a lovely girl who was out hunting with her falcons. She spoke of old Breton. He went with her to her manor house and quickly fell in love with her. In the morning, as he sat with her in the garden, he was bitten by a viper. He swooned and then he woke. And then when he woke, all that was there was her grave. It said she died in her youth 100 years ago, for the love of a man of his name. In your mind's eye, you see the images from this tale: the pale triangle of her face, the ivied stone of her grave, and her falconer, Hastur. You see him too, and wish you did not, for you know what he heralds. As in the story, the light is almost gone, and you settle down on your haunches, knowing you must spend the night out here. You watch as the sun goes out like a snuff candle, and the world changes to pitch black. You lie down to sleep. But just as you are drifting off, you hear the bells. You stand, holding your breath. From somewhere comes a female voice. How cruel of him to say that. The bells sound close by. A man's voice, light-hearted but sad. I am caught. You break and run. It's your only chance. A rill trips you and you stumble, your gun flying from your hand into the night. A misguided notion of what to do in pursuit has you following the water. Panting, you look back and then splash to a stop. Yes, the gentle sound of the bells. He's there. You turn to face the front. The shadow looms huge and impassive, and darkness comes over you like a hood. And you wake in the dark of the early morning.
Back in a minute.
So, that was the first of the dreams of the return in the beginning weeks of October. And as the weeks pass, they start to become frequent again. Not every night, but every few nights, maybe miss a few nights, but they always return. And this brings to the forefront the few loose ends from incidents that led to the events in Scotland.
So I don't know how it would work.
Namely,
Oh, excuse me.
Namely, the whereabouts of Malcolm Quarry and also the mysterious benefactor William Gresty. But any attempts? You've made previous attempts to try and trace Quarry, and to a lesser extent, perhaps Gresty. But all of it just comes up with dead ends. It's just seems futile. But then finally in December, there is a bit of a breakthrough. You happen to be reading the paper, which I believe we mentioned this. We finished on this last time, and this story is
the church verger.
Yes, assault on Christchurch verger, man held by police. A shocking and quite unprovoked attack occurred inside of Christchurch, Spitalfields, in the early hours of this Wednesday morning.
I'm just looking at some other reviews of
About 1 a.m, the verger, Mr Leslie S. Unsworth, was woken by the sounding of a high-pitched whistle from within the church. Upon going to investigate, he discovered a trespasser standing at the altar end of the nave, who appeared to be in a state of high agitation and was bleeding from his hands. When Mr Unsworth issued a challenge, the intruder rushed at him and pushed him down before running off. The verger was able to recover and attract the attention of a police officer, and the suspected assailant was quickly apprehended and taken into custody. The arrested individual has been identified as a Mr. Wilfred Gresty, and he will be arraigned before Old Street Magistrates Court this morning. And this is the paper that is dropped through your letterbox.
I was going to say that's this morning's paper. Isn't
Yes,
it?
this morning's paper, December the 13th.
To Old Street and don't spare the horses.
Oh. Okay. So are you?
I guess.
Yeah, are you heading there by yourself or?
Well, I'll certainly take Highsmith.
Okay.
But
so if you remember as well, possibly a particular interest with one of the things with Gresty is that in the letters that he sent you, he seemed to intimate that he might know where Gresty is, where Quarry is, sorry, or where Quarry's wife is.
So we'd probably best all go because we might need to chase after people.
Okay.
If anybody we need to be watching out for anybody else showing up to take an interest. So having some eyes in court spread out, I think, it's probably not a bad idea.
Okay.
If only we had radios.
It's a science fiction nonsense you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
flipping newfangled technology. You start dreaming about that. What's next? Where could it lead?
So that Wells fella.
Right. So, is it worth me trying to approach the court in an official capacity?
I mean, there's
To get
no harm
access
in
to-
trying. No harm in trying.
To what end? One second. I'm just going to mute Andy's mic a minute.
For one.
So, yeah. To what end?
See if we can carry an assessment. If there hasn't been court-appointed alienness already. If they deem it appropriate or necessary. I had reached out, like I said, in the month, I'd reached out for some freelance work because of these spates of incidents anyway.
Yeah, so you've probably most likely been getting a steady flow of work as reports of mania. There's increased levels of mania and agitation, particularly amongst seems to be particularly amongst creative people. Or
So,
those
Gerald, are
already...
you giving me any back brief on?
So not just creative people, but those that are perhaps mentally sensitive, those that have of a sensitive nature, that are inmates in asylums and the like. Also, people that would probably benefit from being in an institute. There seems to be a lot of high occurrence of incidents among homeless and vagrants. Where, of
Right,
course,
so-
as you know, as a practitioner, there is a high percentage of mental health problems amongst due to them
Yeah, it's
brought on by the
usually.
situation. But
So,
this,
without sounding too over keen or over interested, if that makes sense, the want to pick like I need to see this person, I'll just casually inquire.
so
As if it's one of the lists on the case for the day, are my services required?
okay, so contacting. It's a little bit last minute, of course, because the case is already arranged for taking place late that day.
I'm trying to be casual about it. I'll call into the court on a regular basis, so
Yeah,
I'm just like I'm not gonna. I must see Guestry straight away because that would just be like, what are you doing?
but you do get to speak to somebody, but they tell you that they thank you for your interest, of course, but they tell you that won't be required as the accused is accused of is being brought up on charges of assault. There's no indication of a requirement for anybody of your profession in this.
Oh, right, absolutely. Bit of a strange going around to the church, don't you think? I know it's always people with issues tend to lash out at figures of authority. Nothing.
Yeah, so they invite you to attend the hearing anyway, in an official capacity. Not obviously not taking part, but yeah, they invite you to attend the hearing anyway.
All right, much appreciated. I have some colleagues I'm working on a project with. Any objections to them attending?
No, it's all hearings are open to the public. There's a public gallery anyway, so.
Oh, fair enough.
So you will be attending in the public gallery, not actually in the
As anybody important.
not as a member of the proceedings.
All right, that's fair. That's fair enough.
Okay. So, shall we say you're all attending the arrangement then? Arraignment, rather. Is that the word? Is that the phrase?
Raymond, isn't it? That's the initial.
Well, anyway, the hearing. The trial is hearing. So, around about 11 o'clock that morning, you sat in the Old Street Magistrates Court in London, and a dishevelled looking man maybe his middle ages is brought out. I believe we've got a little image of the guy. Where are we? Let's get rid of Mrs. Chang. Don't need Mrs. Chang anymore at the moment. Let's see, where are we? Get rid of that newspaper article. Where are you, Mr. Gresty? There you are.
Oof, looks like a rough Jack Nicholson.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, so this fella is brought out.
Is this Jack Torrance after he thought out? No, got him at the overlook.
So yeah, Mr. Gresty is brought out in front of the magistrate, Mr. The Honourable Ivan Edward Snell, MC. Gresty is asked to state his name and his address, which he gives as Wilfred Gresty of 127A Brick Lane, EC2. Like I say, he appears, he's quite scruffy looking. He's got quite a cheap, poor looking suit that's threadbare and worn through in places. He has a shirt but no tie, and both of his
No
hands,
tie?
no tie. Disgraceful.
Hang him immediately.
Shocking.
So yeah, he doesn't appear to have made any attempt to make yourself look presentable to make a good impression or anything like that.
Blaster does more harm than me.
And both of his hands are heavily bandaged across the palms. So as he speaks in court, he appears, despite his contrary to his appearance, he appears truly penitent and pleads guilty to all three of the charges. Although he claiming that the actual assault was accidental. So he says that Your Honour, I'd recently been feeling unwell, and I've been having lots of trouble sleeping. I've been taking various sleeping drafts that have been prescribed to me, but none seem to be effective. But I think due to this, my memory of the night in question is a little clouded, confused even. All I know is I couldn't fall asleep at all, and in the early hours, I must have got dressed and left the house. I vaguely remember passing Christ Church, and I was overwhelmed with a compulsion to pray, and he kind of looks down and he says, and I'm ashamed to say I think I must have forced a window open to enter the church, which is, I guess that's how and he holds his hands up and he says, I guess that's how this happened. I remember praying before the altar, and then I heard what must have been Mr. Unsworth call out, and he sort of points to the verger who's attending the court, and he pauses in his relating of events and apologises several times to the verger before the magistrate urges him to continue. Says, well, when Mr. Unsworth called out, I guess I panicked and I ran out the door that Mr. Unsworth had come in through. I'm not even sure I saw the verger as I ran out, or I certainly didn't realise I'd knocked him over. And again, he turns to Mr. Unsworth and apologises. So after he has given his testimony, the judge considers his case, and Gresty has no record of any prior convictions.
Throw the book at him.
There's no tie.
So
Guilty.
after a moral reprimanding by the magistrate, he is fined £2. Quite a lot.
I think that's my max spend. If I got that must be spending level. So yeah, fair. I sympathise with him on that.
So yeah, he's fined £2 for the alleged assault and affray, plus the cost of the repair of the property at Christ Church.
Ow.
That could be a bobber too.
Yeah, that's.
So at the extent of this damage, obviously you're unaware of how much that is. I suppose you can make a law roll if you're present.
Do I have anything in law?
My law's pretty good. I'm 60.
Oh, my law's
I'll probably
5.
find
Hey,
five.
a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
Come on.
Ooh, look at that.
Everyone's here flipping. Well, the delivery's fine. Oh, well, in the case of Smythe versus Burrows,
clearly.
All that happens is everybody's stunned and looks at Gerald and go, What do you know here? Where's this come from? What book have you
I
been
think
reading?"
I must have been reading a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you'll be slightly disappointed with the results of this now. So, So
wasted roll.
this verdict and the not the sentence, but the result of the trial, it seems neither particularly lenient nor is it particularly harsh.
It's quite a fair verdict, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
Oh no,
considering.
it's not an unusual case. There's nothing ringing a bell in it that hasn't happened 100 times before.
This case will go down in history.
So
Yeah, well, no tie at a courtroom, you know, that's going to go in the big.
So, in particular, Dr. Highsmith, but again, everybody can do it. You can make a psychology roll as well.
Come on. So
Again, look at this. Gerald is knocking
he
this
is
out
on
of the
fire
park.
tonight.
Bing.
Wow, that's everybody. Oh, apart from we've not got one from Norman.
Showing Highsmith how it's done, you see.
That's it. Yeah, he's like, don't you talk to me about psychology and law.
what-
I am all over this.
Psychology
What-
check. Psychology check, if you would, Norman.
Psychology
Gerald.
check, huh?
Yep, if you would.
It's like, all right, Gerald, wind your neck in. No need to show off.
Double fist in here, so he is.
Oh wow.
I
So-
think you might have seen that in a different book.
That seems.
So I could spend 6 luck to make that a success.
Yeah, there's no.
Oh,
We've already got people with successes. So save your luck.
don't waste it.
Alright, I'll save it.
Yeah, is it? I forget.
Or do, and then we'll get to the important bit, it'll be funny.
One second, I just want to look at something. Oh yeah, it is. I thought it were higher than that. Okay, so watching Gresty in the court, you notice he's displaying a great level of agitation, but perhaps that's no more than could be explained by being in the situation that he's in. So, as I say, as the magistrate hands out his ruling, Gresty is taken off to make remuneration.
How does that work? Because he doesn't seem like somebody that has £2.
Maybe they take check.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. They'll be taking him off to discuss how he does this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's probably not as taking into his situation into account as much as they maybe would today. So it'd be like,
Right, but
got,
we want to talk to Gresty.
you do indeed.
Yeah.
Although you do have his address now.
I mean,
Yeah,
we could
but he's in a
always,
bit of a pickle at the moment.
We could offer to pay his fine for him.
Or part of his fine for some of it, you know.
Or yeah, pound now, pound after he spilled his guts.
Mm.
So, so you're all still sat in the public gallery. So some people get up and leave. You've not noticed anybody, anything.
Nobody's taking an unusual interest apart from us.
No. Yeah, if anything, you're the only 4 people in the public gallery that's paying any attention to Gresty's trial.
Like bloody transporters.
And the other one's just bagging the good seats for the case afterwards.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
You're just in to keep warm.
yeah, that as well, probably. Yeah, it is free.
Shall we make our way to the I don't know what's called, the reception area, the processing part, where Gresty would be doing his final admin maybe we see if we could approach and help.
Well, use your official swanning past the bailiffs or whoever it is.
Yeah, but we'll be able to. Well, I'm new to the court anyway, so and we're not going to restricted, because he's basically being released.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do?
So so like I say, it was taken away to make arrangements for his payment of fines and things. But
So we want to go there to see if we can catch him at the moment, and then that might be the opportunity to interject ourselves.
Okay. So
Because Mr. Keeper, how would you like to play it, or how would you like us to play
I
it?
will require a credit rating roll from somebody to.
Probably Highsmith. I seem to remember.
Certainly not me.
Yeah, but hold on.
who's
I've had two good dice rolls in a row here, so
Who's got the highest credit rating?
I would imagine it'll be the good doctor, but
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm on a roll here.
yeah, actually, your credit rating is not much higher than mine.
No, I'm just waiting for my luck to turn, because that's like 3 dice rolls in a row. It's actually not been a disaster. I'm just waiting for the.
Okay. So what are you saying? What are you saying to the clerk that's on the desk?
Good afternoon. Just so that Gessie case. Very interesting. You don't mind if maybe try and chat with him? He might be having a bit of difficulty processing, and I don't know. Well, just professional curiosity. He's sort of reminded me of another case I'm kind of dealing with. I wonder if I might get some insight from him.
Well, sir, I'm not really allowed to do that. But Mr. Gresty's being processed at the moment. But I suppose I can give you a nod when they're finished with him.
Okay, yeah, much appreciated.
So you take a seat in the front sort of waiting area, reception area of the court. And you maybe sat there for a good half hour or so when the clerk sort of tries to motions towards you, trying to attract your attention. Mr. Highsmith, Dr. Highsmith, Mr. Gresty is apparently he's left.
Right.
He took the side one of the side entrances. We allow people to. People on trial are allowed to leave by a side entrance if they wish to avoid any tension.
Oh, understandable.
But,
Don't think that was much of a tense case, but well, I appreciate you giving me the heads up. I'll maybe see if I can catch him on the street. If not, I'll maybe look him up some other time. But no, thank you very much for your help as always. Professionalism's appreciated. Yes, so head out. And where was everybody else? Just
hanging around, waiting for you to work your magic.
All right, yeah. He appears to have been processed and left by the side door, and I suppose we'll start walking around there just in case might spot him.
Okay, so leaving the court, you head down the road that runs around the side, and you just in time to catch sight of Gresty stepping into a taxi, and driving off.
For a man that's just recently got himself broke, he's obviously still got some means.
Yeah. I take it there aren't any other cabs in the immediate vicinity.
Oh, you could make a luck roll, I guess. Why not?
Go one minute.
One of you can make a luck roll. Just the one of you.
I will make the luck roll. I
Yeah, I've
believe.
done My luck's running out. That's too many good dice rolls in a row.
No, I'm not going to say anything because that would be a terrible idea. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, you managed to, as luck would have it, you do manage to hail a nearby taxi.
Okay, who's set up?
Go on.
Who's set up? Come on, you know you want to say it.
Be my guest.
Just me then?
Go for it.
Follow that cab.
Good lad.
My
I
night's
couldn't
complete.
take that away from you.
Okay, the taxi driver looks at you a bit surprised and says, yeah, sure. And yeah, he sets off. It seems a little bit excited and puts his foot down.
Pedal to the metal.
Well, maybe not
does
that
he-
much. But maybe it goes a little
these
bit
aren't-
fast.
Does
These
he
aren't Hanson
know
cabs?
whose cab that is? Does he know the driver? Seeing as I'm guessing he may well have been like immediately behind him in the queue, doing the whole like all the cab drivers sat in the same
So yeah, he does know.
taxi having a chat.
Yeah, so they both work for the same taxi firm. But yeah, it is a car. It's not a hansom cab. The days of the hansom cab have pretty much passed.
A long gone. Yeah.
You do get what they call them horse-drawn buses sometimes still. I forget what they call them.
Well, a tram.
Oh yeah.
Not tram. It's
Yeah.
I've got the picture in my head. I've seen the black and white.
Like an omnibus. kind of.
omnibus. That's the thing. An omnibus. I believe that's what it is. I'm going to say that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, this is an actual car. Probably an old Ford, old battered Ford of some kind. But yeah, the driver managed to keep the other taxi in sight. It's not making any attempt. Gresty hasn't made any
We're not
attempt
doing
to.
electricity type stuff.
No.
Hanging off the edge.
So you follow the car, the other cab, into the Spitalfields district, and to Brick Lane, and the other cab drops Gresty off outside a house, and he pays the taxi driver and goes and disappears him through the front door.
Spitalfields, is that not where Chang was?
No, that was Limehouse.
What was I'm sure.
Spitalfields is quite fair. I know it's. I know I'm very.
I'm sure there was a reference to Spitalfields. Or did I dream it?
I think you've dreamt it. I don't remember one.
So Spitalfields is in the East End of London. 18th century Christ Church. That's where. It's also where the church is located. The church is located.
Ah, that's where.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I thought I found a clue. A clue so secret, not even the
Not even I knew about it.
GM knew about it. Okay. Shall we pull up ahead of him and cut him off?
But it's all so when by the time your cab pulls up, it's like I say, he's got out of the taxi, paid him, and he disappears inside his front door.
Oh, so we know where he lives. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, and it does. It appears he was not lying. So as your taxi pulls up, you can see it is indeed 127A Brick Lane.
Okay. Go and knock on the door.
Okay. Are you all going or just?
Oh, I think we ought to.
Yeah, we'll all go.
Yeah, I think a bit
We'll go
of
mob-handed.
mob-handed intimidation is definitely called for. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's biggest to knock on the door as well? Probably our Australian friend.
I mean,
Or shall we have
Yes,
our
that would
Australian
probably
friend just
be-
like looming in the background?
It can be playing his didgeridoo in background or something.
Do a good loom.
Maybe do up the letterbox.
all right, mate. Listen here. I may be Australian, but I don't know how to play a freaking didgeridoo. Okay?
Yeah, of course you do.
Didgeridoo.
Pack it in
I
with
mean-
that.
I mean,
fucking
what do I
tune.
look like to you? An Aborigine?
Okay. So knocking on
Anyway, I'll knock on the door.
the. Are you going to knock on the door? Okay. So knocking on the door, the Gresty almost answers it almost immediately, and he kind of looks at the four of you, looking a little bit puzzled, and then he peers past.
I feel insulted by that. just because he's Australian, they assume he knows how to play didgeridoo.
My work here is done.
So yeah, he
I mean, technically, if it falls under the line of fine art, I guess that might work.
I'm disappointed in you.
What do you mean disappointed? What do you mean?
I thought all Australians knew how to play the didgeridoo.
I thought it was something they did at school.
Yeah.
Well, do you think we sent your ancestors away? Was to expand your
Yeah, yeah.
horizons?
That's it, yeah.
It's like,
This is why
I
you've
think
got
the
any-
word you're looking for is ignorance.
what
this is
else?
why you-
What else do you do down there?
Steal.
Well, we hunt down some things down there, like the kangaroos. Their feet will knock you out.
They'll punch you in the head right quick. We can tackle one of them things.
It is a proven fact that kangaroos are known punches.
Kangaroos are vicious little.
Mm-hmm.
Do not upset
Ripped as hell.
a kangaroo.
Those things are slow, man.
Also, apparently, they lure people into water
and drown them.
and drown them.
Not to mention the poisonous serpents that are down there.
The kangaroo.
Kangaroos are
I didn't know
serpents.
kangaroos
They're
were poisonous.
marsupials.
Can I be the asshole in the room at this point and
Hell
point
yeah.
out that there's only, I think.
Are we having this conversation in front of guests?
There's,
Oh, yeah.
why not? Why not? There's only actually.
Doors open. Like, hang on a minute. This is
Hang on, this is important. There's only one genus of poisonous snake.
And that is.
in Australia.
I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head,
It's called the single housewife.
but just as a general rule of thumb, snakes are venomous, not poisonous.
Not poisonous. Yeah.
I mean,
If-
what's
basically
Hey,
if you bite it and you die, it's poisonous. If it bites you and you die, it's venomous. And there's one genus of poisonous snake. All of
the only
others are
thing
venomous.
more venomous than a housewife would be a mother-in-law.
Is it the adder?
No, that's venomous.
Oh.
poor Gresty's just wondering what the hell this is.
So yeah, Gresty's kind of stood there looking at it a little bit.
So, Mr. Gresty, what are your thoughts anyway on this?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Snakes, man. Snakes.
I'm giving it far too posh an accent as well. What's this about? I don't really. What? Oh, Mr. Black.
Hello. It's the garter snake. Of course it is.
Oh.
And that isn't naturally poisonous either. It's poisonous because of what it eats. Same as dart frogs, poison arrow frogs.
Yes.
They're not actually, if they're kept in captivity, they stop being
Yeah, they're not
poisonous.
are they? Yeah.
They're only poisonous because of what they eat in the wild. If you keep them in captivity, they stop being poisonous. There you go.
There we go.
Bet you didn't expect
Segue
to
there.
find stuff like that out.
Who says it can't be educational?
So yeah, Gresty, it's Mr.
Now you've learnt something, Mr. Gresty.
Mr. Black,
Stop being a heathen.
isn't that you, Mr. Black?
Stop being a heathen.
It's the benefit of a good education. Where's your tie, boy?
He looks just down at himself.
Imagine turning up to court without a tie. No wonder the judge threw the book at you.
Oh, I thought you said Thai boy, as in he's been on it.
Oh dear, going down a whole different route with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's want to know about your holiday plans for summer, thanks.
Yeah.
But yes, how are you, sir? Other than getting yourself into bother attacking vergers. So I've heard.
So it kind of just he doesn't respond to that, and he just kind of steps forward, pushing past the others, and says and grabs your hand, shakes your hand, and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you, sir."
It's I imagined we'd probably meet in different circumstances, but good to finally make your acquaintance.
Indeed, I was just going to get some lunch. Perhaps you might attend me.
Why not? We've come for a bit of a catch up, to be honest with you.
The plough's just a few doors down.
Lead on, sir.
I gotta go.
Is there a barber shop above this pub?
Not feeling good.
Oh, you okay, Derek?
I'll see if I can make it back.
Okay, mate. Well, I hope you're
Okay.
feeling okay. Is it still?
Your teeth still. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh,
I thought he was going to dip out. No. Oh well.
okay. Hopefully Derek's okay. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, accompany him to. Is it a decent pub or is it a bit of a dive?
It's kind of. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a dive. It's
Just your general Weatherspoons.
Yeah. It seems to be free because like Spitalfields is probably it's sort of most well known for its like fruit and vegetable market. It's got a really big, famous fruit and vegetable market, and so this pub's frequented by a lot of the traders.
Yeah, you can appreciate that.
So yeah, it's quite busy, and but Gresty seems to be a regular as the landlord greets him as you go in. And he calls over. He says, I'll have a regular, and I don't know if my friends are having something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I suppose so.
So he goes.
Kind of ale, do nicely.
When in Rome, and all
Yeah.
that. What do you recommend?
So the barman just recommends one of the local beers. You've never heard of it.
Okay. I guess can we find a fairly out of the way table?
Yeah, so Gresty's already sat in kind of far corner in a booth in the far corner of the pub.
Is that because he's not buying any drinks?
Yeah.
that's
Well,
it,
he's
right.
probably a bit skint now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's coughed up his last £2.
So when you sat down, he raised his glass and cheers,
Good.
cheers, Mr. Black.
And-
Thank you very much.
Cheers. How have you been keeping anyway?
Not too bad. I'm only expecting to be in London for a few. You were lucky to catch because I only expected to be in London for a few more days.
Well, to be honest, we saw your name in the paper, and it seemed like too good an opportunity to pass up to meet up, especially seeing as we've had a bit of an interesting couple of weeks, I'd say.
I hadn't heard anything. I heard nothing of you since I sent my last letter.
I'll be honest.
I hope you find my missives helpful.
Of interest, shall we say? Yeah. But yeah,
And
the last couple of weeks have been eventful.
in
shall
a good
we
way,
say?
a good way. I hope, Mr. Black.
I fear that. How should I put this? I fear that possibly events are not behind us.
Oh. I hope they weren't relating to Edwards.
Not directly, I don't think, but you know,
I've
a
heard
wee while
nothing-
ago.
I've heard nothing more of Edwards. Did you follow him to Scotland?
I believe that those involved in the Scottish escapade won't be bothering us again directly, but around that time I was quite bothered with some interesting dreams. And they seem to have returned. We had something of a run-in in some caves below, what was the park called?
Blackheath.
Blackheath. And yeah, these strange dreams that troubled me last year seem to have raised their head again. So I was wondering if you'd heard anything on the grapevine.
He kind of leans in and says, "His influence is not dissipated. Is not gone, and Aldebaran is on the rise."
Quite. Have you heard anything of our friends from your side of things?
You can make an education check as well. When he mentions that.
Aldebaran, that's that star, isn't it?
It is.
Can I look in education?
Can you look at education? Yeah, you can look at education if you want, but you don't need to because you've already answered the thing. So yeah, so Aldebaran is a star in the Hydes cluster, which is indeed visible in the northern hemisphere at this time of year between the months of October and March.
Sorry, did you just say October and March, young man?
Yeah. Well, you did in your head. That's your... Yeah.
None of this has been spoken openly, is it?
No, so this is what... It's like I say, if, you could have all made the education roll, sorry. I thought you were all making it.
You educated bastard.
I don't imagine that. Oh, George, check you out.
We're doubly educated.
So it's no coincidence that young Mr. Roby's mania was mainly on show between October and March then. Is that what we're saying? I'll
Yeah.
say that out loud.
Yeah, because I'm pricking my ears up at the medicine store and this time of year because I'm now starting to see a connection between
So
the
yeah,
seasonally affected disorder and this is maybe bringing in a new element.
I think Gresty leans in and as he drains the last of it, the last of this first pint. He leans and says,
Oh, his first pint, but presumptuous, isn't
"Yeah."
it?
And he says, "Yeah, this is the time when the store's influence is at its peak, as I'm sure you've felt it. You in particular, Mr. Black. And who are your friends? I don't recognise."
Oh, sorry. This is Dr. Highsmith. You may have heard his name.
Oh, weren't you, Miss Dr. Highsmith? Weren't you Alexander's Roby's
He was.
doctor?
I was, yes. Very interesting yet tragic case.
And this is George, who
I'm just the muscle.
he's the muscle. I wasn't going to use those exact words, but
I'm the professional investigatory muscle.
he is, the muscle.
Says, and what occurred? What about your other associates?
Sadly, they didn't return from Scotland.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Black.
I don't particularly like to talk about the things I saw up there, but let's just say that they have left me a marked man.
But Edwards, what of Edwards?
What of Edwards?
You found dead, weren't? Oh no, that were Bacon.
Bacon.
I know you.
No,
I know you dealt with Bacon
Yes,
after my suggestion.
I believe Edwards has vanished. We didn't find any trace of Edwards, did we?
After the fact, no.
So yes, Edwards remains unaccounted for.
But what of his plans? What of his attempts to call the unspeakable one?
Well, I think delayed is probably the best word.
Yeah.
Obviously, last winter thawed, but I don't feel that the plans were cancelled. I think we just managed to delay him.
You mean Edwards or?
Well, his plans. I think we screwed his plans up last winter, but if he's still around, I'm sure he'll try again.
I've had no word from Edwards.
Maybe
I've
he's
heard nothing from anything. What remnants there were of his group have appear to have been scattered and.
I fucking idiot. Apologies, Chinese bot. That was just a cat trying to climb out of a first story window.
But yeah, Mr. Black, I've not heard any mention, any rumor of Edwards.
Stop it. You stop it as well.
Harsh words.
the fear calls
but
for
enough.
his name.
It's good. It's good to hear that that Edwards failed in his attempt.
But yeah, the fact that the others' bodies were recovered scattered around the Scottish Islands. But Edwards wasn't. Makes me fear that he hasn't been permanently stopped.
Well, Edwards took the oath. He spoke the unspeakable promise, and he will have paid a heavy price.
Does that mean that you think we have stopped him, or that you think we haven't?
I suspect we will not hear from Mr. Edwards again.
Well, I hope so, but these dreams are bothering me.
Indeed, there's still Hastur's influence is still here.
So,
But
to cut to the chase.
Enough of this talk of Hastur and his pathetic cult, his pathetic organisation, his cults. Let's get another round of drinks in, shall we, Mr. Black?
I'll like George. Go to the bar, mate. You've got the biggest hands.
Yeah, all right. I'll carry that.
Talking of influences, what influenced your actions last night? Now we're not in front of a magistrate.
No, I don't want to talk about that for a moment. Let's just have a few drinks, Mr. Highsmith. That's all we need to worry about is this winter. It unfortunately is much like the last. The world is still unstable. The King in Yellow, it may yet come to Earth. But to hinder him, we must call on the old gods, the British gods, Mr. Black.
The British gods.
And he, with that, he, as a landlord brings over the tray of drinks, he snatches up a pint and almost completely empties his glass in one go.
Steady on there, young chap.
Yeah, that's a.
Says we have much to celebrate. I thought the hearing went rather well.
Did it?
Oh yeah.
Seemed a rather expensive hearing.
Yeah.
Well, I have little need for money. I will be returning to my home in the next few days.
Whereabouts is your home?
Back in the West Country.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. More specifically.
Yeah, it's a big area.
Well, let's talk about you, Mr. Black. What are you up to? What are your plans now? And he calls the landlord over and says, another round of drinks.
God, he's almost as bad as us with the sandwiches. Is that
Yeah.
mixed up?
Yeah. What are your plans for the future?
My plan.
And more to the point, I don't think you answered my colleague's question about what influenced you to assault the verger.
I was more interested in. I think the assault was just an unfortunate turn. What led you to the church?
Right.
Are you feeling the tug of Hastur yourself?
He almost spits out a mouthful of. I was only here to help put a stop to that plan. I don't follow the Hastur. I follow British gods. Hey, Mr. Black.
think you should know that I spilt my coffee on that book.
That's a shame. It was a good. It was a excellent work by Mr. Quarry. Excellent work.
Are the
It's a
British
shame
gods,
his interests lie elsewhere.
are these British gods powerful enough to put a stop to Haster's plans?
I believe so. And it's like he drains finishes off his fourth pint, and he's swaying a little bit in his seat, and he suddenly thrusts his bandaged hands up, knocking his pint glass across the table, skids across the table, and smashes on the floor. Landlord looks over. Hey.
After 4 pints, is he American?
And he goes, I cut mouths in my hands.
You've cut what?
Mouths.
Mouths.
Mouths?
Mouths.
Oh.
Mouths with teeth. You know, you got a mouth with tongue, teeth.
Oh, mouth. Oh. Yeah, sure.
Why?
Did that. And then I went to old Nick Hawksmoor's church, Christ Church, sits there growing fat, sucking on the plague pits, pulling up power like the druids pulled up power from their own death pits.
Nick whose church?
Nick Hawksmoor. He's from the West Country, but he's got a Yorkshire accent. As do
Pulling
everybody.
Pulling up power.
Pulling up power just like the druids pulled up power from their own death pits. I went there to make an appeal to our British gods. I called on Shubnigrath, the Black Goat of the Woods, to leave the greensward and bring 1,000 young, and for young Glock to come up the steps from the cellar and to bring his blind children.
That doesn't sound like a great plan.
Yeah, have you been inviting others to carry out this plan? Do you know anything about slugs?
Slugs? Oh.
Like inky fellas.
Oh no, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
Do you know anything about like flowing inky masses that explode people?
Oh. No, it doesn't sound.
Shards of it are like slugs, but immensely strong.
That doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like Our Lady from the Woods. No.
Does it sound like anybody that you know?
Friend or foe?
Right, it looks puzzled for a minute, and picks up somebody else's glass and drains that, and then he chuckles, this sort of nasty, sort of sinister kind of chuckle, and he from out of his unbuttoned shirt he pulls out one of those black whistles.
Whoa! Do not be.
So see this, Mr. Black. See that? I blew this for the last time that night in the church, so that Hastur knows that I'm leaving his city. And he yanks on it and snapping the string, and he hurls it across the pub. It skitters across the floor, disappearing under somebody's table like somebody. Hey, what's going on? And then
Just a bit of excitement. We're fairly reasonable. Have they invented shandies yet?
if they haven't, you could invent him. And he mumbles something under his breath.
I'm thinking of another round of drinks, but I don't want him to have an alcoholic one, or I want something beer looking. But
okay. So yeah, he readily accepts. He doesn't check to see our alcoholic. Well, a little bit. It's going to be slightly alcoholic, isn't it? Because it's got half lager, isn't it, or something? Half lager or half beer, depending on.
Yeah, it depends on the.
Probably beer. It's probably beer. Probably half beer.
Yeah, I just Actually, if I go up to the bar, just say 1850s. All right, we're good. Just the barman, weak beer, strong shandy. If you catch my drift, for our gentleman friend.
If you want, Gresty will drink anybody under the table. Anybody else, any of my other regulars under the table, anytime, any day of the week.
Oh no, I don't doubt his prowess. We just want him a wee bit compass mentis for the minute.
As you wish, you're paying, sir.
So order that with him the drinks. So just set him down, pass his over to him.
Okay. So as Charles is coming back from the bar, he leans over the table and right up in your face, Gerald. He's going, and then that man came in, started blabbering about God. Huh, in that place, of all places. And he just like falls back in the booth, like laughing.
And in fairness, it kind of was a church. It's kind of where they talk about God.
Hold on, isn't
Some place to
paganism
talk about
still
God.
illegal at that time? Witchcraft was illegal until
Yeah,
1950.
Practicing witchcraft was technically illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to maybe get him to lower his voice a wee bit? Just in case,
Okay, you ask him, but yeah, he doesn't make any attempt.
Just be aware there can be unkind ears.
Nobody cares. Nobody believes this. Nobody pays any attention. It's how it goes on. As I say, anyway, I'll be leaving this shithole. I'll be going back to Severn Valley. My job here, my work here is done. I've done what I was asked to do.
Who asked you to do it?
The old man Atkinson. I've been waiting. It's my turn now. It's my time. Now it's my time. I'm going back to claim back what's mine. I was just here in London spying on Edward's cult.
Who's Atkinson?
The old man.
Yeah, he's an old man. Where does he live?
He's back home.
Is he from the southwest as well?
Ah, he's back home.
And is he like the leader of your coven?
His time's passed. Now I'll go back and inherit what's mine. But yeah, I went there and I said my farewells.
The Severn Valley, you say?
What?
Where you live?
Hawksmoor, man. Hawksmoor's churches. I thought somebody of your background would know.
Do I have any idea what he's banging on about?
You can make a
cult.
A cult roll, yeah. Why not?
Or
a cult or
a couple of beers on me, but
a cult or history. I do.
That passes both.
Okay.
That's pretty...
Okay, so you've so you know all that. Yeah, so Gresty starts to like ramble now, but it doesn't. What he tells you, you're already familiar with. But essentially, he starts talking about Nicholas Hawksmoor, who was a student of Christopher Wren. And in the early 18th century, Queen Anne charged a commission to build 50 new churches in London to show how godly she was. and to all the Catholics and dissenters of the crown, and also to replace the ones that have been lost in the fire.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like Christopher Wren had anything to do with the fire, but there was suddenly a whole lot of real estate to build a shitload of churches. That's all I'm saying.
So like this man named Nicholas Hawksmoor, he was like I said, a student of Christopher Wren. He was employed to erect some of these churches. And Hawksmoor did so, but he wasn't a normal man, and these weren't normal churches. So among them, Gresty starts rambling on and says, there's St George's in the east, in Stepney, in which Hawksmoor installed Roman altars, big and impressive, but you look at it closely and you'll see it's all skew whiff. And Nick, he wanted them to knock down shops and houses so he could build a little way away, but they said no. And last century there was a famous murder nearby. 4 dead in a Masonic ritual. I don't know if you probably recall that, Mr. Black. Murderer was buried under the crossroads, right where Nick wanted to build a church. Gresty grins at this. He says, "Oh." Then of course, second on the list was Christchurch in Spitalfield, just over yonder. Place where I knocked that poor verger senseless. If you've ever seen it, that church, it kind of dominates the area. Stands on Commercial Street under that got one of them obelisks. Got an obelisk for a steeple, not a normal steeple. Got an obelisk. I stand under that. It almost feels like it's about to topple on you, crush you dead. That place, that church's history, that's drenched in blood. That is, Mr. Black, drenched in blood. The cat starts counting on his fingers and sort of seems to forget, and then this is my glass is empty again.
Pint of Ribena for the good man.
Something nice and weak.
Says, how about a bit of whiskey to celebrate Mr. Edwards' passing?
Are you sure he's dead then?
I'm pretty sure. Astor would have taken his taken his price, taken his payment for the promise.
So
Will make us one for the road.
who do you think is behind the current resurgence in Huster's influence?
Sir, it's just his time. Just his time, Mr. Black. He's on the rise.
You do keep saying that.
Mm.
Is there anything we can do to put a stop to it?
Now,
Other than wait for April?
just now, you probably want to talk to Malcolm. That's where the danger lies.
Malcolm.
There's an old plague pit. The French living around there when around here rioted. Troops on the lot.
A
Christchurch
plague
was
pit where?
the church, man.
Spittlefield's church.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Who's Malcolm?
Soldiers used to bill it at the church. They all killed them. And then most of them drabs killed by the Ripper used to drink right next door in the 10 Bells.
Who's this Malcolm?
Don't they say Jack was a Mason too, Mr. Black?
Apparently so. Who's this Malcolm fella?
Malcolm Quarry.
Oh, that Malcolm. Sorry. Where is he nowadays?
I don't know. I don't know where he is. Shall we go on?
Why not?
Nag's Head.
Where would you like to?
Nag's Head, a couple of streets over, is a good pub.
The Cthulhu Club pub crawl begins.
Yeah.
Do we get sandy points back or lose them as we go to each
Drink
establishment?
Yeah.
I would have thought it's good for forgetting. So you know.
So, are you humouring him? Are you like going along to?
No, I think humour him.
Okay, so as he staggers down the street towards the next pub, he continues to ramble on about Nicholas Hawksmoor and these churches.
Yeah.
Might be interested in checking this Christchurch out for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and getting a list together of Hawksmoor churches, I think is probably worthwhile.
Yeah, so we've got Christchurch and St George's.
But there must be some more of them.
So we'll steer the conversation in that direction to see. Do you really know of more of these type of churches?
It's in the history books. There's the St Luke's on Old Street. Now Nick didn't build the church, but he put up the obelisk that serves as the spire there.
Did he not do that in Christchurch, or is this another obelisk?
This is another one. It's another one. Kind of his signature, I guess. I think a ley line runs through St George's in the east and in Christchurch, Spitalfields. I think that's right, isn't it, Mr. Black? You would know that kind of thing.
Do I know that kind of thing?
Oh, you can make an occult roll, I guess. So all three of them churches, they got obelisks for steeples.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
Obelisks, steeples.
Mm-hmm.
it was Mr. Black.
I'm going to have a crack just for a laugh here. This will be fun.
He knows what I'm talking about. And
At least somebody does.
I think he
Yeah,
kind
I was rolling on a 5. You know,
he carries on rambling and he kind of like sort of mumbles and you can't hear what he's saying. And he's like, not Christ God, you can be sure. British gods, Mr. Black. British gods.
Yeah, you keep saying that. And I keep not really knowing what you're talking about. I really do need to try and get around to reading that book better.
Okay, so it leads you down Commercial Street, south back down Brick Lane and right onto Fernier Street towards the next pub. And as you install yourselves in another booth in the Nag's Head, Says Gresty returns to like talk with us. Says I'll be going back. I'll be going back home. So I like to say I'll be going back home soon. Back home to the Severn Valley, Mercy
Aye.
Hill. My little home. We're back in Mercy Hill. Very soon. And he's at this point. By this point he's like kind of struggling to prop himself up on the table. Says I want.
So I had a couple of pints.
It's by this time it's probably about a good 6 or more.
All right, fair enough.
So he says when I'm back there, I'll take up what's his.
Atkinson's.
Yeah, the old man, and that includes the quarry woman in Nug's farm.
Nug's Farm. Yes, we know about Nug's Farm.
He leans in towards you, Gerald, and like grabs hold of the collar of your shirt and pulls you in. This is between us, you see, as friends, yes.
Yes. Absolutely. You're going to take what's yours. Does his wife know anything of import?
Says I'll bet I'll lay my seed where the old man couldn't.
Quite.
People talked about that. I mean, George won't know, but people talked about laying the seed before to Charles and Gerald.
Hey! Fucking cat-based twattery up there. Stop being a dickhead.
Don't you start either.
Don't have cats.
Too late.
Don't worry, I won't.
Right, get that cat a character sheet. Get in. Not gonna be that easy.
Yeah. I do feel that there's a trip to the Severn Valley in our fairly immediate future.
Yeah, has he kind of staggered off?
So, yeah, at some point Gresty gets up and goes to the toilet.
And doesn't come back.
And he doesn't come back. You never see him again. You never see him again
Oh.
at night.
Slipped out the bathroom window.
Yeah.
Right. What sort of time are we at?
So by this time, it's sort of spent most of the day, most of the afternoon and the early evening with him. So it's probably about 8 o'clock at night.
That's my bedtime.
Go back to the bookshop.
Yeah.
Maybe and then we'll maybe do some research on these obelisks and
Yeah, and what's his name?
Hawksmoor, Nicholas Hawksmoor.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the fella. Yeah. On which other churches he built.
And does it spell out you're doomed all over? What's what?
Yeah, some sort
Look at the map.
of I don't know, yellow sign. There is something distinctly fishy going on, isn't there?
Just it's all sort of culminating now. It's like has this been a plan that's been laid, or sort of basis, foundation stuff has been laid, and now it's coming to fruition, or is it just something that people are latching onto because of this time?
Yeah. There seem to be several plans going on simultaneously, and I don't know that I like any of them.
So Gerald, you can make a what's an intelligence roll as well, I guess. Oh dear, or maybe not.
I've clearly been Mr Gresty.
So of course it did keep referring to British gods, which of course is the title of the book that you've got by that was written by Malcolm Quarry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I could do with actually reading that a bit better. Although I don't think I read that one. I didn't read that one. Did Charles read?
I don't think anyone read it. I don't think we ever got around to reading it.
Did we not? Because
I'm
sure
I think
one of you two was going to read it. Because
I
was going to read the Wanderer Den Sea or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Charles was going to read it, but we never actually got around to reading it.
You got too distracted by dancing.
Yes.
And dying.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I'll have a read. I guess I'll start reading it. I'll probably, with all good intentions, get home, pissed as a fart, and try and read it. Probably read the same chapter like 15 times, and then give up. Spill some coffee on it.
Okay.
So are we sort of going to call it a night and then skip forward into the next morning?
Yeah, and go to sleep drooling on it. I think is fairly part of the course with me.
Okay. So let us move forward. So it is the 14th of December then. The morning of the 14th of Thursday, the 14th of December.
Oof. Getting close to Christmas. Can we have a Christmas tree up in the shop?
So Gerald, you can make a. Well, actually, no. You don't need to make a luck roll. We'll just gift you with this anyway. So you dream again that night.
Woohoo!
And again, you dream one of the dreams that you've dreamt before, but this time it's like the dream of the most recent dream you have. It seems to go on longer and expands and becomes more sinister. So it's cold outside, and the bedroom window stands wide open. The curtains sigh into the room. You watch yourself sleeping, wrapping the sheets more tightly around your shoulders, and you see they're ripped, shredded into long streamers. You rise from the bed and stumble out of the room. Along unfamiliar corridors and across large chambers, you notice marble, carpet, past glass, velvet hangings, brick and porcelain, oil and gold wood. One of you is muttering, "It's all a distraction. All a distraction." There's a mask on the wall, and you take it up and put it on. You see a sword and pick it up. The robe of tattered cotton plays out behind you, lending you a dignity commensurate with your task. And then you see someone in a side corridor watching you, your doppelganger, eager and worried. Suddenly furious, you hurry over, gripping the sword tightly. You think you can stand in judgment over me? You think this has nothing to do with you? You wondered just what you're capable of. It's my crown. Mine. You whirl forward, the weapons singing. Attack and defense are contrived and inexpert, and you separate. But blood blooms thickly on your arm. You're shocked. You see many weapons like this, but you didn't think they actually worked. And you hold the wound and watch your double raise the sword again, and you both look so very afraid.
Yeah.
And you wake the next morning and lose a point of sanity.
Of course you do.
Cheers.
You're welcome. In fact, I think Dr. Highsmith has a dream as well that night.
Oh, right, okay.
George will just wait for us then in a minute. He lays awake. I've been drinking too much coffee.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Highsmith, green and black light slants down through the canopy of leaves to the floor, and you walk on soft moss that surrounds the trees. Old oaks make a city here, quiet but watchful. Every detail is in place. You imagine who you might meet here in this fairy tale forest. Wild Seronis the hunter, the fairy queen with her donkeys, hobgoblins and sprites, the wolf at the banquet, all tooth and cunning, and by thinking of them you bring them closer. Someone falls into step beside you, and it's another you imagined, the rogue, the highwayman, what or will, or one of those. He strides along, capable and sure, rolling on the balls of his feet with an easy gait, longbow across his back, dirk in his belt. He's grinning. No, he isn't. You can't keep up this conceit. The old forest is gone. And as it is, your companion becomes... Who is it? If you're pilgrim, then faithful. Vain, confidence. But with this hesitation, you're alone, and the welter of staging is replaced by bare boards. Your plot, an empty page. Someone else directs your dream, and you can't escape this with the distraction of fairy tales and allegories. You're walking to him. You're crossing featureless, frosty ground. Aldebaran looms ahead. It has slipped so low in the sky that it touches the horizon. One could almost step up to it now. You could step down from it. Thousands of stars show, but not the stars you know. There are others with you, friends, but they're just an escort, for it's only you that matters. No Caesar ever performed an action to match this one. You see a bright, bright light, and then a tall figure. His white and yellow robes move in the wind that you don't feel. His hand reaches out, and awed, you see yourself take it and walk through.
I sort of wake up. Very strange. Reach over the bedside table and just find myself clutching at Charles's pocket watch. Just pondering, like, what was that?
Welcome to Dreamland.
And you lose a point of sanity. So the dream was it's as you wake, it almost immediately starts to fade and become indistinct. But it was at the same time you recognise how real it felt.
Oh, very strange.
Oh,
Yeah, I just kind of found myself sitting on the edge of the bed, just trying to comprehend what it was. I've never dreamt like this before, it's never my thing.
and he's lost power.
Oh, Andy's lost power. Oh dear.
I don't know if he means just to his laptop or
Power has gone off. Oh dear. Oh, shall we take a short break then? While we'll see if give Andy a chance to resolve his situation.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, we'll take a. Should we take a 5-10 minute break?
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Sounds good.
See you shortly.
So we shall be back shortly in about 5-10 minutes.
Cool. Bye bye, Bart.
Sounds like it.
Flip. What do we invoke? So just looking up the Forge here. That's a subscription model then. Yeah, sometimes these conversations actually, even if they're going live, if anyone's interested in gaming and that could be as much as value as the actual game itself. Yep, just all the mechanics in the background.
So just the fact that it rolls your skills and what have you for you is quite handy. And working out your daily sanity loss and
No, I like it. That's what I mean. That's why I was keen to jump on board.
just see, I like the dice rolling.
Oh, it's so clunky in Roll20.
Because it's weird, but I like to see the dice actually bounce across the table. That's the thing that I really missed about Roll20, that you just press a button and it goes 17.
Yeah.
It's a bit shit. Whereas actually seeing the dice, and it really frustrates me when, there's been a couple of times, I think it's when you've been around, but certainly before, when it's like you've rolled something really good and somebody else's dice hits yours.
Yeah.
And flips it over just like they would on the table. Makes it feel more real and like you are actually rolling dice. Whereas just pressing a button and it giving you a number I really hate.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's a bit
it
cold
does
and
feel
flat.
like there is sort of physics of the dice roll involved. Although I do like to roll my skills rather than just pressing a button and having it do my skills. I like even though it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
On a computer, I do like to roll the skills individually just for the thrill and disappointment one by one rather than
Yeah, but that's part of the session 0, isn't it? That's part of the game.
Well, for your development as well.
Yeah.
When you're rolling to see if your skills improve, I like to roll the dice for those.
But yeah, I mean, we're like this. I mean, one of the things, if you're using, particularly if you're using like battle maps in this or in other games as well, you'd like do things like when you select the tokens that are involved and you click when you're triggering the combat skills, it'll apply the effects to your targeted token and all that kind of thing. Also, all you can automate so many levels of it. I mean, to the point that I've seen some people's games that are set up that it's almost like playing a computer role-playing game. That there's that level of like automate, they can build that level of automation into it, and like I said, they're just there's like extra bells and whistles as well. I mean, like effects and. I mean, like I say, I don't delve too much because I haven't the knowledge or the time to like.
That's the problem. The development side is just you can spend as much time getting into the weeds in the background, and you're not actually playing any games or making content, which is it's a bit of a balance.
Yeah, I mean, so for instance, I in this D&D game that ran on Sunday, one of the characters has a monk, and we used a I forget what it's called. I think the module was called Maestro or something like that, and it basically lets you apply sound effects to skill checks on button press. Pretty much anything you activated, you could activate. Anything you could click on, you could apply a sound effect. So for instance, in Call of Cthulhu, you could like you'd click on your gun to fire your gun. It would fire a gun. You could have it so it fired a gunshot. But yeah, he had a monk character, and all his attacks for his monk character were had samples from Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Oh god, I'm playing a cleric dwarf at the moment. Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Actually
Uh-huh.
playing that Saturday at midnight, so like Sunday morning, our time. Some side of our last adventure was just bonkers, just dealing with jam monsters and stuff. And I fell off a tower, and how I survived that, I don't know. It was like, and I really wanted a sound effect of either boing, boing or a dunk, just it would just added to the insanity. So you got to balance it though, because if you rely too much on sound effects, that are you then just playing a computer game?
Yeah.
The whole point of RPGs is you're using this,
Yeah.
and imagine it.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, it's amazing what some people do with it. But yeah, I don't have the time. Don't have the time to get things to put things like that in. But yeah, like you say, I only want to take that kind of thing so far. I mean, for instance, I've got with Tatters of the King, I've got loads of love maps. Brilliant map creator. If you want to check out.
Oh, I've seen him.
Yeah.
I've seen his. He does all his things on Twitter.
Yeah, fantastic map creator. But so using his map packs for this, but it doesn't. Not only the maps. He redoes all the handouts, all the tokens. The stuff it is just fantastic. But I use some of the maps, but I don't use a lot of the maps because, particularly with Cthulhu, I prefer to do. I think it's more suited to Theatre of the Mind rather than.
Oh yeah, it's a completely different game.
Pulp Cthulhu, that's a different matter. I mean, that's more combat focused, so I think it's that's better suited to using battle maps and doing it more fighting, having the combat a bit more tactical.
It's amazing how things have come in the last couple of years.
Sorry?
It's amazing how things have progressed and come along in the last couple of years. I guess it's just boomed.
So is any word from Andy? No, not on my stream.
Nope.
Oh. All right.
Shall we give him a mission with him and Norman?
Shall we what? Sorry.
Shall we give him and Norman a mission or a task to accomplish?
Well, we could just carry on for a bit longer, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not doing anything critical.
I'm just going to let them back at the bookshop. I was maybe going to just look up Nicholas Hawkson, see if there's any.
Yeah, I think getting a list of his churches is definitely worthwhile. I'm sure I'll have some sort of architecture.
I've got to say, well-known architect, there's bound to be something on him.
So yeah, I guess you could, if you wanted to do that the next day, you could make libraries roll. I mean, you can either make use of Gerald's extensive bookshop, or
I think that'd be a good place to start. That way, get some coffee on board and recover from our impromptu pub crawl that we didn't expect to be doing.
Yeah, I was going to say why. Maybe I sold those last week.
Yeah, you must have. I checked on the back of the sofa. Obviously not there.
I'll look through my records and go, Architecture of London. Sold to the chap called Gresty, apparently.
So what you do find out about these Hawksmoor churches, what, in addition to what you find a lot of the stuff that Gresty was rambling on about, or somewhat, even if it was somewhat disjointed. So, but essentially, you find pretty much the same information that he was going on about. This, there's all sorts of conspiracies and sort of stories about the links to Masonic Masonic groups, Masonic rituals, and paganism. But it amounts to a little more than that. The stories and rumours and that.
Well, you know, smoke and fire and all that.
So apart from the St George's, Christ Church, and St Luke's, did we maybe encounter any other?
So it did build. It was involved in building other churches, but these three in particular were sort of unusual in the architecture, and particularly the fact that all three of them didn't have a traditional church spire. It was like
The obelisk.
obelisk.
So did St George's have an obelisk in addition to the Roman altars?
Yes.
Guess there's no point plotting these on a London map. It wouldn't really. I mean, make it a triangle or something, but it's not really enough to.
Yeah, they're going to make some.
It's not going to spell out the answer. What
No,
we're
they're going to make a triangle.
It's not a big arrow going go here.
Yeah.
So possibly the only point of reference is the supposed links to paganism, which kind of links back to what Gresty kept saying about British gods, about old gods and British gods, and which again alludes to. He was alluding to Quarry's book, but also the stuff he was mentioning about the Severn Valley, where he was.
Yeah. He was banging on about that quite a lot.
All this about this old man Atkinson and inheriting this seat of power or something, and that Hilary Quarry, Malcolm Quarry's wife, or supposed wife, because previous attempts at looking into Quarry, it always had him. Most people always had him pegged as like a loner, a nice person, but single, no apparent family, no apparent wife. But according to Gresty, he has a wife, and she lives on this in the Severn Valley, on this Nubs farm.
So maybe not a wife in the traditional sense. Maybe more do with this group. I'm getting a sense of group commune.
Yeah,
Borderline
some
cult.
sort of general cultiness.
Yeah, there's a bit of a culty sprinkling over the top, Bling. Should we take a look at Christchurch, saying it's the closest place? Have we look at this obelisk and see what the fuss is about?
Yeah, might as well.
I'll take a wander over there.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's an all three. Excuse me, all three of these churches.
Okay. Oh dear.
All three of these churches are like quite impressive. Each of them are unique in their own way. Like Gresty said, one of them's got very sort of Roman motifs to it. Another one is the architecture looks. It looks skew whiff. It looks askew. It looks the angles of the building look off.
Trapezoid type.
Yeah, it's just a weird. I mean, not in the like impossible angles kind of thing, but yeah, it doesn't
Yeah, it's not quite square, but more like
twisted and offset. Doesn't not really.
It's not in chicken feet.
Yeah.
Is that deliberate or just general incompetence?
It appears to be. You would assume it's deliberate because the extent of it, because it's like the whole structure is like that.
It's not like Chesterfield then that's
No,
born of
no, it's
incompetence.
yeah. No, it's not like that at all. But yeah, the common sort of strand between them all. They all have this, instead of a traditional spire, they all have these stone obelisks as a spire.
How big are these obelisks?
So size, but not massive. But probably about maybe 20 feet or so.
Okay.
But yeah, they're weird as well. The way that they're positioned, standing underneath them, it gives almost a sense of unease, and almost feels like it's gonna topple on you. Particularly the one at Christchurch.
Are these Egyptian obelisks, or are we just
No.
using the word obelisk as a?
Yeah, not in the style of like Egyptian obelisk. No, not
They're
like
not asterisks and
no.
obelisks type
No,
obelisks.
it's kind of like a spire, but it's basically, instead of it being a traditional
It's
spire,
square.
it's a solid stone thing rather than a tower kind of thing.
Can we discern any markings?
No, they're completely devoid of any kind of markings.
That's a bit weird in itself.
I'm guessing the church is open at Christchurch.
Yeah, most of
I
this.
suppose we'll see if there's anybody to talk to, or the poor fellow that was knocked over.
Yeah, well, why not? You'd probably find the verger that you recognise him from the
From the
from
newspaper.
from the magistrates' court, because he was present at the trial.
Yeah. So just see if he's about, catch his attention. Like,
Ask him how he's feeling.
yeah, see if he's up and about, and how do you find that experience? Was that something normally that happens, or was this a one-off?
Well, he tells you sometimes they have incidents, particularly this of lately, these past couple of years, this time of year, there seems to have more than they normally would. But
Why do you think it's this time of year?
he hasn't said answer for that. But he says this is the first time somebody's actually, you get people, defacing graves and things like that. This is the first time somebody's actually broken into the church.
Do you know what they were after?
So as
Apart from the offering box.
If the testimony of Mr Gresty is to be believed, then it wasn't after anything other than supposedly come to pray. But I find that a little hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a kind of piqued their interest, it seems, but there's quite a lot of strange behaviour going on, and just I think that's the most overt.
Exactly, I believe. I just think the man was just a vandal.
Seemed a bit more intense than that. Just I guess you hadn't had interactions with him beforehand.
I've never met the man until that night. I couldn't exactly say that was a meeting.
No. I'm glad to see you at least didn't come off worse for wear after it. Strange thing indeed. I don't know. Any other similar instance with like members of congregation or churches around the area?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
They're just
no, not heard. I mean, if there had been, I would have heard of it.
This is Hawksmoor Church, isn't it? By the way,
it is, I believe, yes.
You're not a.
I'm not a historian, but yes, I believe this is Nicholas Hawksmoor had a hand in building this church.
Was he exclusive to one denomination? That's just should have twigged on that.
As I say, I'm no historian. I'm unaware of that.
Right. So as we went
I
round,
believe the man was an architect above
yeah.
above and beyond anything else. So I suppose it's possible.
Obviously, I'm not asking this, but discerning from going to the church, what denomination is Christ Church?
It is a Church of England.
See, and St George's.
Yeah, they're all Church of England.
They're all Church of
Yeah.
England, right?
So it was part of the reason for them being commissioned to be built.
Oh, so it's
was
commissioned by Church of England, right? Okay, so
commissioned by the Queen. The Queen.
the Queen, all right.
What's it say? So Queen Anne commissioned them to build. She commissioned 50 churches in London, and it was kind of to like show a show of power and to Catholics and royal dissenters and
Yeah.
a publicity stunt, essentially, I guess. So, like I said, Hawksmoor was just he was employed because he was an up and coming architect at the time, and sort of student, famously a student of Christopher Wren, so he got the credentials and.
Right. Well, appreciate your time. That's. I'm glad you're safe and well and not worse for wear of that incident. I wonder if it's worth. We'll take our leave and we'll kind of wonder. I wonder if it's worth looking at Hawksmoor's works outside of the churches. Begin to wonder if there's, I don't know, people that tend to get involved with cults. They want to leave a calling card. And while we're hyper focused on these obelisks, I'm wondering if there's something maybe more subtle with his works over this time. Because think of those three churches, they were built over a specific time, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, question. So, what, do we want to go to the London Library and see if we can find out more there about Hawksmoor and what he's commissioned to do? Maybe if we can find some ley line maps as well. Someone like he wouldn't have want this. It seems a bit more in the quirk, considering this guy's history and the rumors. I'm wondering if these three are beacons and he's built something else.
Yeah, or if there is, some sort of geometric sense to it.
Yeah, and it mightn't just be churches. That's what I'm thinking. I wonder if it's maybe his.
Were all of his churches built on plague pits?
No, only the Christchurch one supposedly. Supposedly, I mean, it's you can't find any real confirmation of that. It's a rumor. Just like one of these things that's like that's built up around his reputation, and so it's not clear how much this is just like rumor that's built up or what's actually true. But they do find it built. So Hawksmoor didn't build all 50 of these churches. He only built 6 of the churches in London. St Alfigers, Greenwich, St George's Church, Bloomery, Christchurch. St Algers in Greenwich, St George's Church in Bloomsbury, Christchurch in Spitalfields, St George's in East Wapping, St Mary's in Woolnorth, and St Anne's in Limehouse.
Okay.
And after the death of Christopher Wren in 1723, Hawksmoor was appointed surveyor to Westminster Abbey. And the last of his work was doing some restoration work on the abbey, but he never completed the work. He died before he completed it.
Right, and it wasn't just exclusively churches he built.
No.
Right. I don't know. Am I going down a dead end path here, or am I?
Yeah, I'm not sure. There did seem to be quite a lot of interest in this fella. Pulling up power. Are there any crypts in? Maybe it's Christchurch. Are there any crypts that we can creep into?
There's no mention of any. I don't believe so. Not of relevance, anyway.
Okay. Just thinking that whole like pulling up power from.
I shall let you make an idea roll, I think. Or a psychology roll in Dr. Highsmith's case.
Or minor book. Right. Let's go. Oh.
Okay.
No idea.
So yeah, Joe's no idea. So Charles, so you've been following these leads and looking, digging into Nicholas Highsmith's history and his works. You get and after out the way that Gresty was talking about it, you get the impression it was just kind of an obsession of Gresty's.
Excuse me. So
It were kind of just perhaps Gresty just saw it as like sticking the twos up to what he viewed as the establishment.
yeah, because I'm not seeing any distinct patterns here, and usually if somebody's going to build, if somebody's trying to direct a cult or build a series of markers, it's going to be more pronounced.
Yeah.
You'll see something immediately with a pattern and not getting it at all.
Yeah. Maybe.
So do you think maybe Gresty, our friend Gresty's, bit more involved in the culty side of things than he claims?
Yeah, it's just I think a different. Cult.
Just another side of the coin, but
yeah,
the real question is he got the potential? Has he got the potential to be as dangerous as what we've encountered before?
Entirely possible, to be honest with you. Entirely possible.
Right.
I've got a feeling the West Country.
I'm hearing that call
calling
myself.
us.
I'm wondering if our friends will feel the same, and
Yeah.
I think we need to go check out Nub's farm.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few places down there to check out. Altman Atkinson's down there, Mercy Hill, Nub's farm. That's all same sort of area. I've got a feeling that's our next.
Yeah, because we've kind of exhausted this sort of avenue, so
Yeah.
guess we're getting our wax jackets and Wellington boots.
Yeah. and see where it takes us. Yeah.
So, so obviously you've heard of the Seven Valley.
Mm-hmm.
But checking the maps, even the latest issue of the Ordnance Survey maps of the Seven Valley, there's no village feature or even a landmark that's called Mercy Hill. But visiting the British Museum Library, you're able to pull up a succession of smaller scale maps of the area that were produced by the military during a survey they conducted in 1910. And it's a little slow going, just like all these little individual maps you're having to piece together and try and think, covering. But you finally find one that's covering a small area about 30 miles south of Gloucester that shows a hamlet that can't be, at least in 1910, can't be more than 10 houses. And that is called Mercy Hill. And it sits near a similarly small, insignificant kind of settlement called Clotton, Lower Clotton, and Temp Hill. And all of these other three are not on the Ordnance Survey maps. As well as another village called Goatswood. And they all sit at the edge, on the borders of the Forest of Dean in the Severn Valley. But best of all these these maps that you find that you're going over, you find one that actually mentions Nugg's Farm, that sits central. It's like a central position to three farms that lie about a mile south of this village called Lower Clotton. But there's no, according to these military survey maps as well, there doesn't appear to be any roads that lead to these settlements. They're all only reached by footpaths, which makes the area where they're situated, that's already remote, makes them even more remote. And as I say, they're bounded by one side by the Forest of Dean to the east, and then the River Severn to the west.
Okay.
And you can both make an idea roll as well.
Okay.
Okay, so
Doesn't mean it's a good idea, but it's an idea.
So, surprisingly, the forest that's depicted on the map covers quite a lot more area on the newer maps than the older ones. It's impinging upon almost all of these these settlements, these like unnamed settlements.
So whether the settlements have been abandoned and grown over, or our friends have become elves.
Or somebody's had some influence to hide them on the maps.
But yeah, as is not, normally with woodland, it's the big sort of wooded areas in the country. They're like reduced, they're cut back and reduced as time goes on, as people fell the trees and turn it into farmland and whatever. But here,
It's the other way around.
it seems to be the reverse.
That's interesting. So where's the nearest but it's civilized village that's easy to travel to?
So it looks so you can take get a train from London to the city of Gloucester, which is about a 2-hour train journey. From Gloucester, let's see. And then from Gloucester, you should be able to get a bus to Cotton.
Cotton, so
Clotton, sorry.
Cotton itself, right?
Yeah.
Do
so
we
not,
want to land?
Not the not Lower Clotton. This is Clotton. So there's 2 Clottons. There's the lower.
Yep.
Lower Clotton, I believe it was.
Yeah, Clotton, Lower Clotton, Mercy Hill, Goatswood, and God, there's one more I missed.
Lower Cotton, Temp Hill, Mercer Hill,
Temple,
Young's
that
Farm.
was the one.
Yeah.
So my question is, for a plan of attack, do we want to go to like a staging area? We don't want to just arrive off the bus.
No, I think we want to like at least find somewhere to stay within striking distance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where we'll get off the bus and sort of set up lodgings, and then I think we'll want to hike our way in each excursion in and have somewhere to retreat to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get a train to Gloucester, and then from Gloucester you can get either a bus or a train to Clotton.
Right, so I guess we're going to Gloucester then.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Okay.
That seems to be quite a suitable point to call it a night.
It does indeed.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. I didn't
Round
want
up
us
the
to actually
troops.
jump on, but I was. So that's when everyone's together, we'll head to Gloucester.
Yeah, find somewhere to stay,
Yep.
and then
Decide how we're going to get ourselves into
Yeah.
trouble.
you see, just to be out of character, really don't fancy going to Goatswood.
It's a lovely place.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, of course, you can be. Did you say that Gerald was skimming?
I'm going to be skimming British gods. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
when I get
So
and it's, yeah.
I suppose we can. Oh, really? Out of the way, British gods. So obviously, like a skim, you can skim it during a day, but obviously to read it fully and to take fully absorb everything, any benefits of it will take longer. But
Yeah.
so it's quite a new book, as you know. It was published in 1924. Got 360 pages. The author is Malcolm Quarry, and it's called British Gods, Religion and Myth in the British Isles. The work it's an academic text, authored by Malcolm Quarry, published by Oxford University Press. Its primary focus is on Celtic, Roman, Sumerian and other gods believed to have been worshipped in southwest Britain from 50 BC to 650 AD. Along with many other deities, mention is made of Shub-Niggurath, who is generally thought to be a local aspect of the Celtic goddess Brigid, who in one aspect subsisted on nothing but the milk from otherworldly flocks of cows and sheep, and was known as the mother of the flocks. Brigid was honoured at the spring feast of Imbolc, when the land returned to life after winter and the first animals of the year were born. Shub-Niggurath may have been a deity imported via Gaul, with which the western British tribe of the Durotriges traded freely, but her origins would not be seen to be Gaulish either, and perhaps worships had started with the Assyrians. Shub-Niggurath seems to have boasted a fierce reputation, and although her worship did not spread far, it was followed with fanaticism by certain peoples who then seem to have prospered in the harvests and in battle. In return, the tribes are thought to have made blood sacrifices to the goat with 1,000 young in the great forest of Dean where she dwelt. When the Romans reached the towns of Gloucester, Bath, and Cirencester, many officers and men adopted her worship, as did some of the Saxon kings when they pushed this far west centuries later. Oh, there you go.
Lovely.
Yeah, looking forward to it already.
Yeah, the problem is, out of character, I've played Quake, so I'm like, something around the oh dear.
No, it's worse than that.
Yeah.
I think so. Having read that, I think there's a little bit more you can pick up from that as well. Let me just have a look. So, as you know from reading that, so Shub-Niggurath appears to be some kind of fertility goddess whose worship was centered in the west of Britain in the kingdom of the Jura tribes. There's no, unsurprisingly, I suppose, there's no mention about of this Nug farm or anything in this book, so it's not. It doesn't appear to be that ancient or anything. Yeah, so there's no mention of. So Gresty also mentions another deity called Golanak, but there's no mention of that in this book.
Yeah. Fun times.
Also, let's just for argument's sake, let's say that you actually call in on Gresty again a few days later, and you find his house empty, and his neighbours tell you he's just up and left, which seems to tally, which of course tallies with what he was
saying about going
Yeah,
home.
but he's done his job. He's leaving London.
Yeah.
He owes us a pint, so I guess we're going to have to go collect because he was.
Yeah,